Hi, it's Sandy Parker, and welcome to Crafting for Almost Everyone. Today we're going to work with fleece that you have on hand, some scraps. I hope you'll stay tuned. Well, I always seem to have little pieces of fleece laying around, and I thought I would show you some things you can do with it. One is a dog toy, one is going to be a cat toy, and one is going to be something that you're going to teach your dog how to ask to go outside, your puppy. I'm cutting, well, these are the strips I had left over, and normally I use a lot larger strips for this for my dogs because I have big dogs. But if you have small dogs, let me tell you the length of this and the width so you have an idea. This is about 19 inches long. For mine, I usually use between 2 and 3 feet long because I have very big dogs and they like to yank them with each other, you know, play tug. The width on the pink strip is about 1.25 inches, and the blue strips are about 1 5/8 inches. The reason I'm telling you this is I want you to understand that you don't have to have completely even sizes. You don't have to have particularly straight. As you can see, I whack these apart myself, and you don't have to have the end being even. It's all scraps, and we're going to use them like this. You're going to put the pink piece on the inside. This is more for aesthetics than anything else. Then you're going to hold the end. Then I'm just going to tie it in a knot, and I'm going to pull the end. You want this knot to be as tight as you can make it. So if you don't have good hand strength like me, you might want to ask somebody else to help you with this part. So this is what it looks like right now. When I make these for my dogs, I use much wider strips, usually more like this, maybe 2 to 3 inches wide. Because they're big dogs, these little thin pieces, they will chew through really quickly. So just so you know, you could use strips as thin as this if you have like a Chihuahua or a toy poodle. You could use them, you know, any width basically that is size appropriate for your animal. As I said, my dogs are big. They're golden retrievers. You've seen them. They really like to have big tug toys. Now what we're going to do is we're going to braid this. It's very simple. You're going to take the right side piece, wrap it over the pink piece. You're going to take the blue left side piece, wrap it over the blue piece you just put on the inside. Then the same pink, blue. This is just like doing your hair. The other thing that you have to do, and I'm going to do it right now, is you want to make sure these are all super tight. Your braids need to be really, all the pieces need to be pulled as tightly as possible. And I should have done it sooner, but I didn't. The easiest way to do this is if you put the knot between your knees and you hold the other end, the loose end, in your hands, and that way when you have the piece between your knees, that holds that tightly, and then you don't have the problem I have right now, which is I'm having trouble keeping everything pulled tightly. Let me just finish this up real quick and I'll come back when I'm done. When I finish braiding, I have this much loose at the end, not very much. I can't wrap it any further. So then I hold on to that. And this is why it's important that you make this longer rather than shorter, is you need to make this into a knot again. So I'm going to try and keep my knot, or my braid from coming apart. You just want to push it through. You want to pull your ends and keep moving the braided part down toward your knotted end, or your end that's not braided, it's loose. And then you want to make sure those edges are still pulled out, because if they aren't, your dog or cat, whatever, is going to figure out a way to get that out of there and make it unravel. Or that's what mine does. She unbraids all these because she plays with the knots to the point they're not knotted anymore. Okay, the other thing, if you have anything loose, like this was just an uneven piece of fleece, all I'm going to do is cut that off, because I know that that is going to just be something that Isabel will want to play with and rip apart. So that is what the dog toy looks like. As I said, if I had longer fleece scraps, I would have made this probably twice as long and twice as thick, because my dogs really like them and they tear them apart really fast. You can, when they get grungy, you can wash them in your washing machine, no problem. If they get too grungy, you can always throw them out. If your dog starts chewing pieces of it off, I suggest you throw the whole thing out, because you don't want your dog to be swallowing thick fleece like this. In fact, I usually cut these down a little bit so that they don't have a lot to get hold of to chew. And then you end up with a maybe 1/2 inch mark. The scissors I'm using are great for arthritis. Not affiliated in any way with Fiskars, but these are Fiskars Easy Action scissors, and I like them, but I know people will ask me about them. They're recommended for people with arthritis, so works well for me, and that's why I bought them originally. I even did a video where I talked about scissors, and I talked about why I like and don't like these. The problem I had with these is the first pair I bought, I put too thick a material in, and I basically sprung it, is that what it's called? Warped it, whatever, so that it wouldn't cut well. And if you use scissors for paper, don't use them for fabric, because they won't cut after you use your scissors on paper. If you use them on cloth, you'll notice that they are not working as well, and that's why you're not supposed to use them on both. Let's go on to our next project, and this is going to be a cat toy, and I'm using some things I have laying around the house. These are little bells. I have smaller bells, but if you use these smaller bells, you're going to have to figure out a different way to thread them through the fleece, because their little opening is really, really tight. You might have to sew them on your fleece, and you know I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to use the bigger ones, and I'll tell you the size of my bells in just a second. I'm cutting my ends of my fleece on an angle, because you're going to weave it through the opening of the bottom of the bell. So when you do that, it's easier if you have a little diagonal cut on it. And this piece is it's about 11.5 inches long and about 3/8 of an inch wide. My bells are almost 3/4 of an inch wide, and from top to bottom about 1/2 inch tall. Just in case you wondered what size bells I was using, if you want to replicate this. So what you're going to do is you're going to take this little point and you're going to put it through that opening on the bottom of your bell. If you struggle doing this, all you have to do is take a pair of like fussy cutting scissors, and those will allow you to do a better job of pulling them through. And what I'm going to do is I'm pulling it almost to the end, and I'm going to make a knot beside it. This is more to keep the bells separated from each other, and to give your cat something more interesting to play with. There's that one. We're going to slide another bell on. And if you have trouble, like I said, don't be afraid to take like your pokey tool or your fussy cutting scissors, something that is got a finer point, and push it through with that. I'm only going to put 3 bells on here. And then after we've put our last bell on, we're going to knot the end. Cats, I had a cat when I was a kid until I got married, and he loved to chase things. So I would always have long strings around that I would just pull. He would have loved something like this that made noise and that I could drag and he would be able to run after. And then I'm going to put a knot on this end. The knots will keep your bells from running into each other, and they'll hold them in place. And that's all it takes to make your cat toy. Now the last thing I'm going to make, and this is based on something that one of my friends did with her puppy. She trained her puppy to ask to go outside by using bells on her door. And how you train them, well, I'm using about the same length. I should go a lot longer, and we'll talk more about length in a second. Again, I'm going to do that angle. What you do is when you get your puppy and you're starting to potty train them to go outside, you're going to have your bells hanging from your doorknob on the door that you want the dog to use. You're going to shake the bells. You're not going to try and scare the dog, but you're going to shake the bells enough so that the dog hears them every time he or she goes outside to go to the restroom. Then when they want to go out, they will start asking you by ringing the bell themselves. The reason I said it really depends on this length, depends on the animal, is because if you have a small dog, this is going to have to be much longer because it's going to have to reach where your dog's nose can touch it. And if it's a bigger dog, obviously the reverse is true. You're not going to need to have it very long from the doorknob because your dog is going to be tall enough to touch it. Let me show you. I'm just going to add one more. It's the same idea as the cat toy, except you're going to need to have enough room on one end to have it dangle from your knob. So you're going to have it actually be able to tie around your knob. Mine probably is not going to be tall enough to do that. Oh, this end will be. We're going to assume this dog that I'm dealing with is tall, like my dogs are. Okay, I knotted this end. Now you could make this like a circle if you wanted to, but there's no need to do it. What you're going to do is you're going to tie this part around your doorknob. You got it? Then the rest is going to hang from the doorknob, and as I said, when the puppy's little, you're going to ring the bells every time the dog goes out, and then eventually the dog learns how to ring the bells, so you don't ever have to wonder, does the dog have to go out? And it worked really great for my girlfriend. So of course I never tried it. My dogs have never been really good when they were puppies at learning how to go out, but all you have to do is have bells that are loud enough that you'll be able to hear them in any part of your home when your dog gets to the point where he or she can ring the bell. So this would be the part you'd tie around the doorknob, and then this would be the part that would hang down. And like I said, I was basing it on a larger dog. This one hangs probably, I don't know, let's say almost 5 inches, just bells, almost 5 inches from the doorknob. So you'd need a taller dog, taller puppy to do this. And as you'd want this to be long enough, so let's say your puppy is very, very little, you're going to have it longer at first so that your dog can reach it, and then as it grows you can make this shorter. So you might want to start out having it wrapped around your knob a few times, or tie it on your knob and have a bunch hanging down from the knob so that it reaches where your dog is. I hope that made sense. So there are my 3 ideas for what you can do with excess fleece. My dog just wanted to give you her 2 cents on that. So I hope you enjoyed this, that you give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and please tell your friends about me on social media because you know I love that. And thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.